Hey, been a while. Remember this? This you might recognise as the box that is full of my old childhood comics, some of which I went through in what is, by a long margin, my most successful video to date. But I couldn't help notice I said something in that video along the lines of, these I would consider some of the better ones that I did, and I make some interesting creative decisions in these. Things happen for no reason at all. I was making them up as I did them, and so they don't really make any kind of sense. But I never actually went through those specific ones that I marked out as being my best or my favourite. So that's what we're doing today. We're gonna look at what I considered the best comics of my childhood comic writing career. These aren't the disastrous half-finished ones from the last episode. These are the cream of the crop. The pièces de résistance. I'm sorry, France. Another part of the reason I'm making this video is I just finished Remo issue 2, Sibling Rivalry, which will be up on my Tumblr blog, Random Jock Comic Universe, and on my side channel, My Superhero Universe. Hi, this is Editing Tom from the future, just dropping in to let you know you can also find Remo issue 2 at Random Jock Comics on Facebook. Since recording this video, I launched a Facebook page where you can find that and all my other comics, and plus all the places you can find my comics will be linked in the description below. Alright, back to the video. That's the second installment in the Remo official canon, and that features a villain named Count Maniac who, like Remo himself, is ripped from the pages of these books. This is the first one we're going to, because this is the first appearance of Count Maniac. Jaws meets Super Remo. Fairly sure I did this after watching Jaws for the first time, so I was on that shark train, and to be honest, that's a train no one ever really leaves. Once you're on the shark train, you're either on it or you're off it. Not all sharks are great whites, but they all are great. Right, we open on Remo just chilling on a beach in Scotland, known for its beach weather. And this is literally the scene from Jaws where Jaws attacks for the first time. It is exactly the same with the dog and the floaty paddly thing, and then Jaws comes up out of the water. Remo's swimming and he says, "Oh, this looks like a job for me, Remo. Wait, that's me." Which, yeah, mood. Sometimes we all forget who we are. So he runs out of the ocean and gets a boat, and he goes looking for the shark. The shark takes a bite out of the boat, and the boat starts leaking. He sinks. He goes into the ocean. He's now in the ocean, there he is, and that is a bloody huge shark in this panel. Either there's some weird perspective happening, or this shark is just changing its side on a whim. There's like a faux cliffhanger at the bottom of this page. It says, "Will Remo survive? Turn the page to find out." It's not like you find out next time in the next issue, it's just go to the next page, you know, like any book. Gotta say, I am a fan of the way I'm drawing this shark. I feel I'm pretty happy with how that's come out considering how young I was. But anyway, he's found a bomb underwater. Just, you know, one of those underwater bombs. It's not a sea mine, it's just an underwater bomb. And he blows up the shark. Success, right? Yeah. Episode over? Nope. The pieces of the shark all exploded. Lots of gore there. Lovely. Each individual chunk of meat starts to shimmer and shapeshift and transform into a bunch of sharks. A bunch of smaller sharks. And then they go through a water pipe to a swimming pool. And this is important, because when I first saw Jaws 2, it opens on a swimming pool, and me being 10 or 11, however young I was when I saw that movie, I had the leap of logic where I was like, oh, I bet Jaws is going to appear in the pool. Like, how would that even work? And then that ended up not happening, so I put it in this comic. So Remo is just swimming in an indoor pool, and then presumably this is later. There's no caption that says later. You just gotta work it out. And then he's attacked by all these mini sharks, and here we come to one of the most baffling design choices I think I've ever made. This shark, the head shark, has a scar on its side, which is a symbol which was very prominent in Germany throughout the late 30s, early 40s, and is now illegal in Germany. Yeah, that's right, Remo's fighting a Nazi shark. Put a swastika on this shark. I'm not sure why. I'm pretty sure I hadn't properly studied World War II at this point when I wrote this. I just kind of knew that symbol means bad. I didn't have the full connotations of what exactly it meant. But it's just, you know, synonymous with evil, so let's put it on a shark. I'm really being harsh to sharks in this, and representing them in a bad light. And here we come to the key player in this little book. It's Count Maniac. This is what Count Maniac looks like. Let me just get the focus on him. So it says here, this is Count Maniac, mutated mad scientist, aren't we all? And he's saying he's gonna make another shark. Out loud, to nobody in particular. And he's just got boxes full of shark parts. Eyes, fish intestine, extra brains, shark DNA, whale heart, laser bulbs, shark eye jelly, razor sharp teeth, multiplying factor, and lungs. All the components you need to make your own shark. I do gotta say, the design of Count Maniac is something that stuck with me. I liked the extendable mechanic claw he has, and the monocle and the sort of that kind of look. Those are the key things that I brought over to the main revamped Remo continuity. In this, he also has like a torn off ear. His hair is just shooting up into the sky. He has sharp teeth himself. And I believe his eyebrow is in the shape of an M, which is a lot, so I didn't take all of that over to the new version of him. Just the monocle and the arm. And also this panel, I took over. That is referenced in Remo issue 2. Bursting down the door and then a silhouette in that, you know, hero, James Bond-esque kind of moment. Oh yeah, Count Maniac is still talking out loud about how he wants to destroy Super Remo forever. Remo overhears this, bursts in, and is like, hey, what the fuck? You must be the reason why there's mutant sharks. You must be the reason why there's Nazi sharks after me. This is actually, if I do say so myself, a pretty fun moment. You see him say he's come prepared, and you see the shadow on the wall. Looks like he's got a gun. But it's a water gun in the next panel, that's revealed. He's not gonna kill this guy. He's just gonna squirt water at him. Count Maniac says, "Fool! Water cannot harm me." What a weird story this is. And Remo hits him back with the, I wasn't aiming for you. I was aiming for your electric power control, and I hit the target. I am noticing collision of water and electricity is something that runs through a lot of the comics that I've done. Yeah, it's in this, it's in some of these other old ones. It's in Genie issue 1. I just can't make a comic without making water and electricity clash. I need that big explosion. And the Nazi shark is dead, which I suppose is a good thing because it was a Nazi. Oh, I guess all the other sharks are dead too. But then Maniac grabs Remo with his mechanical arm and he's like, hey, I'm still here. And Remo says, yeah, I know, and you caught fire from the explosion that just happened. And then Count Maniac catches fire. We don't know if he survived or not in this version of the character. But Remo's like, hey, looks like the evil is defeated, and he gives a little wink at the audience. And then we've got a fun The End. It's written on a shark. So that was Jaws meets Super Remo. First appearance of Count Maniac. Very unclear as to what? I read these stories and it's so chaotic. It's like, and now this is happening, now this is happening, and now I've won, but you didn't count on this. That was just a weird story. So Count Maniac was making mutated sharks to go and kill Super Remo, and then he found Count Maniac and destroyed all the sharks and set him on fire. So that was a classic one of Remo's enemies, Count Maniac, and also Jaws, I guess. And now let's go to another classic Remo enemy, Serpent, spelt wrong. I have part 1 and part 4 of this. I have no idea what happened to parts 2 and 3, so we'll piece the pieces together. So let's start at the beginning with Serpent, the sequel to Super Remo and the Serpent from Spain. Oh, I was wrong, maybe this is the second version. I just have number 2 and number 4. Number 1 and number 3 are the ones that are missing. But that doesn't matter. This is Triple Terror. Here we see there's 3 enemies for Remo to face in this story. And we've got little enemy files on the inside front cover about who is actually appearing in this issue. So let's dive in. Let's read the enemy files. Serpent. Powers. Fire breath. Electricity shooters. Enemies. Remo. Why is Remo his enemy? Because Remo once killed him. Fairly good motivation for being enemies with someone, I've gotta say. Length, 2 miles long. Voice, husky. That's a thing to note. I wrote down the kinds of voices that these villains have. Mad Mangler. Powers, stretchability. Laser eyes. Enemies, Remo. Why is Remo his enemy? Remo destroyed his home planet. Holy crap! Remo's supposed to be the good guy. That doesn't sound like a very good guy thing to do. That sounds like a like a General Tarkin thing to do. Voice, slimy. Of course, that's the most important factor of all these villains, is what they sound like. And the third villain we've got here is Vampirate, shamelessly stolen from the title of a children's book series, which I didn't even read, I just saw on a shelf. That's just plagiarism right there. Powers, flying and invisibility. Why is Remo his enemy? Because Remo shipwrecked him, and he has a human voice. These guys all have really good motivations for hating Remo. Remo killed Serpent, destroyed Mad Mangler's home planet, and shipwrecked Vampirate. You can see why they don't like him much. He's a hero. He's supposed to be a hero. We open on a grave, it says rest in peace, but then someone breaks out of the grave. We see a shadowy finger who he wants revenge on Remo, and he jumps into the ocean and lands in a swarm of electric eels, which mutates him, and he starts to grow and morph into a Serpent. Because I do the spell good. Meanwhile, we cut to Remo reading the newspaper. He sees the headline that a giant serpent is attacking the city, and so he goes to find it. Gotta say though, if it's in the newspaper, you're running a bit late, mate. If it's already gone to the editors, been put in an article, gone to publish, printed, put on sale, it's come to your house, you're really late for this engagement with a supervillain, mate. Serpent attacks him with the electricity, and he gets his feet stuck in the ground. Serpent goes off to find some sidekicks. Bottom of the Pacific Ocean, we find Vampirate's ship. There he is. In his human voice, he says, "Ah, who goes there?" And Serpent says, "Put a sword in it." That is legitimately what he says. He says he wants to destroy Super Remo, and they team up. And then Mad Mangler is just there and overhears them, and they all decide to destroy Super Remo together. Good team bonding activity. Destroy your enemy together. Vampirate announces that he's putting his invisibility on. He says invisibility on and disappears, which I kind of feel defeats the point of invisibility, which is a stealth power. It's not that stealthy if you just announce whenever you're doing it. Meanwhile, Remo is still stuck in the ground. Mad Mangler drags him and starts squeezing him like a python. And Serpent's like, "I have you now." And then Mad Mangler is like, it's kind of me that has him. He drops him. He gets zapped, he gets fire breath on him. Vampirate chops his hair off with the most insane precision you've ever seen. That's just his entire hair and none of his scalp. Cut right off with a sweep of a blade. And then he just has a lightsaber. It's never explained why or how Remo got a lightsaber, he just has one, which he uses to destroy Vampirate's sword. He punches Vampirate in the face, and his head explodes. Not even joking. He's the baddie. Remo is the baddie in this comic. He's violent, and his head grows back within instants. He gets zapped again by Serpent and Mad Mangler. Then he's like, "Oh, I feel an urge to go evil." Gotta say, it feels like you already were. You destroyed Mad Mangler's home planet. Somehow he's had a costume change for that, and he's got a blindfold on, but he's gonna take over the world. And now he's gonna do that by robbing the Bank of England. Because that's the first place you hit when you want to take over the world. Mad Mangler's like, "I think my zap turned him evil." Somehow, never explained what that's about. And Serpent gets mad about it and fire breaths Mad Mangler to death? ? Remo has robbed the bank by just taking a safe out of it with his bare hands. He's just carrying a safe. The police are after him. It looks like Remo is firing bullets out of his hand and blowing up the police car. Serpent lays a trap by dropping a fake wallet, because you've robbed the Bank of England. The next step up in your crime career is a single wallet that's been left on the ground. But Remo does fall for it. I have no idea what's happening here. Someone's getting zapped or something. I think Remo's getting zapped by Serpent, and they're both getting zapped or something or other. This is my favourite line in the whole thing so far. "Hey, the grass turned me good again." The healing power of grass. What a thing to happen. It's not like, oh, the zap somehow messed with his brain chemistry and made him realise he was a good guy. No, it was just the grass. He fell on grass and it made him good. Grass makes you good. We're learning so many lessons from these. And then Remo challenges him by saying, "If you're so evil, kill me blindfolded." Because that's what all evil people do. They kill you blindfolded. Anyone who's killing you, looking straight at you, they're really a good guy deep down. They've got a soft heart. The Serpent asks where the blindfold is, and Remo says right here, by punching him in the eye. Continuing our theme of plagiarism, here is a flip-o-rama, which is something that Dav Pilkey did in the Captain Underpants book series, where you'd flip the image and it would be was essentially like a paper GIF. So in this one, yeah, the Serpent is chomping down on Remo, but then Remo gets hold of Serpent, who might I remind you is 2 miles long, and just kind of strangles him, and he's like, yeah, the villain's defeated. But then lightning strikes the burnt mad mangler, who I guess did burn to death, but the lightning brings him back to life. Because it's comics, everything can bring anyone back to life. Who cares? I also think it's worth mentioning, I've switched pens again. I'm no longer using a blue biro, I'm using a black gel pen. Remo half-heartedly just throws something at him, we're not sure what it is, but it's a bomb. It's a bomb that automatically attaches to his wrist? Do tentacles have wrists? So the Mad Mangler blows up. Bad day for the Mad Mangler. Bad life for the Mad Mangler. He's had his homeworld destroyed. The Serpent breathed fire on him until he was a pile of ashes, and then he came back to life for a brief resurgence before he got blown up by Remo's bomb. This is a vast contrast to the Remo we saw in Jaws meets Super Remo, where he was non-violent, he was using a water gun. This Remo is just firing bombs, killing people, destroying worlds all over the place. And now Mad Mangler is dead again. And then a random police officer turns up to say, hooray for Super Remo. Hooray for that horrible person flying away scot-free. He robbed the Bank of England, no one apprehended him for that. He blew up a police car, presumably there were casualties. Oh, and look at that on the back, it says, look out for Jaws meets Super Remo, Part 4. Hatched. If I remember correctly, in between stories, the Serpent came back to life again, met up with a lady Serpent, and Remo fought them both, but then at the end of the issue, we see an egg and it starts to hatch, like at the end of everyone's favourite Godzilla movie. It says the 4th, the finale, and it's got the Empire State Building in it, so you know it's good. And also, he pulled out Serpent's eye and it became sentient. We open on the baby Serpent hatching from the egg. This one has wings, unlike the other two. Remo's first instinct is to trick it into thinking he's the father. Then we hear from off panel, no he's not, son, and here's the sentient eyeball. You've taken my life, my dignity, my wife and my eye, but you can't take my son, and you can't take our evil. What a speech. Pretty good eye drawing skills, you know, as far as drawing a sentient eye goes. Remo literally just goes, fuck this shit, I'm out, and goes to New York. Avoid dealing with your problems by just flying to another continent. But the new Serpent, the Serpent child, Kid Serpent, he can also fly. Oh, and he's got a name now. He's called Flames. Later, Remo's just eating hamburgers, and then suddenly, Flames catches up with him. He's taken him to the Serpent's eye, but the back of his jumper snags off, and he falls. Here's a bloke showing off his new car to a lady, and Remo falls on the new car, and he is injured pretty badly. There is no consistency as to how resilient this guy is. When I look this bad, I know I've lost my powers. That's another thing I like to do in these old Remo comics. I was just always losing his powers. Just bam, powerless now, deal with that, you idiot. And he's going to the Empire State Building. Why? Who knows? Ah, I see, that's why. To get lizard venom. What is this? The Amazing Spider-Man. He's injecting himself with lizard venom. This is a great sound effect. Kazlamga. That's an onomatopoeia you hear in everyday life. And he's back, but he's mutated into partly lizard. He's got a lizard tail and lizard claws. And he's confused about it. Like he didn't just actively inject himself with lizard venom. He's got fangs too. My classic old comic, Remo becomes a scaly. He's now climbing the outside of the Empire State Building. I didn't want to draw the Empire State Building, so I cut it out and stuck it in. But Flames and the Serpent's Eye are waiting at the top for him. This is definitely based on Spider-Man 2 on the PS2. In fact, yeah, it's all coming together now. I'd been to a friend's house and he played Spider-Man 2 on the PS2, where you fight the lizard and you climb up the Empire State Building. That's literally what is happening here. That's why all this is happening. So then there's a fight. Oh, and that's what every comic book character dreams of finding, a room full of chemical stuff. He picks up a box, says, wonder what this does. Suddenly the box seems to fly out of his hand and goes straight up through the roof of the Empire State Building, and it's got an explosive in it. So that explodes, decimates the entire top half of the Empire State Building. That's a lot of rubble. There must have been a huge fallout from that. There must have been civilian casualties. He feels weird, his fangs pop out, and his hand turns back to normal, and he's back to himself. His lizard feet turn back into shoes. Let's not think about the implications of that. There was a vial of spider liquid on that table of chemical stuff. Oh no, the Serpent's eye's gotten it. Oh, and I can stop calling him the Serpent's eye now, because I prefer to be called Eyeclops. And that's what he looks like now. He's a eyeball gross spider monster. And he's given a bit of a villain speech about how he's going to fight Remo. Remo shines a torch in his 8 eyes. The torchlight was so powerful he melted. And then some guy just falls from the sky and is a zombie. Or he turned into a zombie after landing. Now this is interesting. Remo pulls a Bugs Bunny, changing into women's clothes to try and seduce the zombie? The zombie sees him in this disguise and is so turned on that the zombie reverts to a normal guy. What? You see what I mean when I said stuff just happens for no reason? This is the kind of shit I'm talking about. Remo takes off his disguise, but flames is still kicking around. Remo grabs a fire hose, puts it on full, and uses water to put out flames. And that apparently suffocates him, and he's dead. There he is, lying on the floor with an arrow pointing to him that says dead. That's it. It just ends. There's not even a the end. That's just where it ends. There's actually another one to go. I promise you this is the last one, and I also promise you this is far more painful for me than it is for you. This is Super Remo and the peril-powered panic wave of the preposterous pufferfish from Peru. I think we all need to take a breath after that one. This is another of the ones I was pretty happy with. Remo has a bit of a costume redesign in this. He's got a big R on the back of his cape and an SR on his torso. These aren't in colour, but this is yellow on red aesthetic. Kind of actually similar to what I've got going on here now that I notice it. During the adventures, Remo and Raccoon Dude and Bert's uncle go wild, running chaos everywhere and trying to save New York. I should mention who Bert's uncle is. If you watched the last episode I did of this, I'll have mentioned Pluto Penguin and Bert. Bert was the comedic sidekick of Pluto Penguin, who was a penguin with superpowers, and his uncle appears in this. What differentiates them is that his uncle has a big old moustache. Right, let's dive in. What's happening? Once a chemist found a dead pufferfish, took it back to the lab, explosions happen, and he became an evil pufferfish man. That's what he becomes. You can't really see him properly because there's a tea stain on this, which is bled through. After killing most of Peru, he picked up 2 sidekicks and swam out to sea. What a way to gloss over genocide. Zappo and Python, just an eel and a snake hang out. Two long boys hanging out. Just 2 boys being boys. Meanwhile, in New York, and you can tell it's New York because I've cut out a picture of the Statue of Liberty and stuck it into the book. Remo gets off the plane and he's in New York City. Oh, that's clever. There's a big apple. Because it's the Big Apple. Here we meet Bert's uncle, the hotel manager. Remo very rudely pushes him aside and goes to his room and orders 100 of every Italian food on the menu. And the chefs are a little perturbed by that. That's a big request. I don't know if they even have that food. Other people in the hotel need to eat, but he is very full. He has a high constitution. Meanwhile, at a beach in New York... Are there beaches in New York? I'm genuinely asking. So, Pufferfish and his sidekicks come out of the ocean. Bert's uncle goes for a ride in his car, which just looks like a lump. He gets blown up by something. Oh, it's by Zappo. Sends an electric zap from his tail and blows up the car. Then a policeman's like, oi. The policeman is accosting the Pufferfish and Zappo and Python. This is an interesting interactive part of the comic. There's this little thing that says, warning, this picture is part of the story, but has no text, and contains deadly violence. Turn if you dare. On the flip side of that it says, you were warned, and here's the panel that was being covered up. It's a straight up decapitation. What appears to be a voice in the sky says, halt, I order you to stop. It's Remo. He gets zapped by Zappo. Classic, living up to the name. Pulls the classic Remo move of flying away from his problems. But he can't fly, because guess what, guys? I've lost my superpowers. Well, now we cut back to Bert's uncle, the comic relief. He apparently landed on a cheese factory. On his way back to the hotel, he falls down a manhole cover. He is then attacked by alligators, because we all know that alligators live in the sewers in New York City. That is what we call a fact. But Bert's uncle is not incompetent. He throws the alligator out of the sewer, it lands in front of Python and Zappo, they zap it and hiss at it, and then throw it into the ocean where it's eaten by Spike the shark. This is presumably a different shark to the ones from Jaws meets Super Remo. This one was not made by Count Maniac, this one is just out there living its best life. Bert's uncle rounds a corner shop, he hears people asking for help, and then he gets a boulder thrown at him. It says "Boulders are us" on it, which is a very current reference. I feel like I'm doing thumbs up, a sarcastic thumbs up a lot. I feel like that's become my new thing, just a sarcastic... yeah. So that boulder threw him into the second story of a donut shop, it looks like. Sometimes it is hard to tell what is happening in these images, I'm not gonna lie. Remo's running away from the pufferfish, firing those spines. Then, Monty Python style, a 100 kilogram block just falls on the pufferfish. And it's Raccoon Dude. And Remo has gained his power back. We know that because he says it out loud. We don't know how or why that happened, it just did. He lost his powers for a bit and now they're back. Deal with it. Also, because that 100 kilogram block dropped on the pufferfish, it turned into a normal pufferfish again, which is alarming considering it started out life as a Peruvian scientist. Don't think about the implications. Remo takes him back to Peru and drops him in the ocean. Oh god, the implications. But Python and Zappo, our favourite power couple, are still around, and they're giving Raccoon Dude a bad time. Look at this. Every character is an animal. We learned this last time, but even so. Remo returns and fires explosions out of his hand to stop Python and Zappo. Zappo starts charging up, but Python falls on him, then they both blow up. Author's note, when in doubt, blow something up. Now we're in hell. Hell exists in this continuity. There's the devil. It's Python who we're following here, by the way. Python's the one who's gone to hell, I should mention that. And the devil serves well over 1 million years of torture. That's a long number. That's a 14-digit number. Remo does a Highland fling with Zappo, who goes flying and falls into the ocean. Again, falling into the ocean is a big theme I've noticed running through these comics. You're not gonna believe this, guys. Note, when you mix water with electricity, it causes an explosion. Spike the shark eats Zappo and then they both blow up. Again. The water electricity thing. I think has that happened in every single comic we've been through? What? You know, you ever look back at your own work and you notice a weird running theme that you never realised beforehand was there, but after you've noticed it, it becomes incredibly obvious? That's what's happening to me with this water electricity thing. And that's the end. That's the end of the best Super Remo comics that I ever made. The best ones. Those were the best ones. Oh, so much to just think about. I like to think that my storytelling approach and my characterization of Remo has improved since I wrote those. And if you want to see how it's improved, you can check out Remo Issue 2 Sibling Rivalry. That is available on my Tumblr blog, Random Jot Comic Universe. You can watch it on the YouTube channel My Superhero Universe, where it will play as a motion comic. I may also start a Facebook page, you can find it there. Basically, all the places that you'll be able to find this, I will link in the description below. I hope you'll enjoy it, and I hope you enjoyed watching me go through all of this old nonsense. That's I think, the best word to describe it. It's nonsense. But if you did enjoy it, feel free to leave a thumbs up below, that helps. If you want to see more from me, you can check out a previous video. That'll be there. And you can also subscribe to this channel to keep updated for when I make new stuff. That's it for now, so thank you all so much for watching this video, and as always, I will see you in my next one.